So, okay, I have a little bit of a side effect that ended up coming out of working on the new impact missiles. So this is the cake missile I'm about to fire. Now, there should be a cake. Now, something interesting is happening because I completely forgot I was working on this. Look it, there's a cake. Now, the intended result was to actually have the missile stick out of the cake. But the renderer is failed on the missile, so the cake is not actually rendering. Now, it's going to be an easy fix to fix, but this was something I was planning on working on later here, is actually have missiles that you could get cargo out of by actually opening up or breaking. I was planning on doing chest missiles this way. With this unintended side effect, I actually could just leave this code as is and end up getting that to work. So we could see some cargo missiles here in the next few days for ICBM. I'll work on them. I'll be doing some block placement missiles here as well. Because when I do the warhead crafting station, one of the biggest things I was planning on doing was allowing you to insert blocks into it. Not even just blocks, full-on blueprints, so you could place entire buildings on impact and machinery on impact. For example, there is plans to do automated quarry setups, so you can fire a missile at a certain target, and a buildcraft quarry will build itself out of the missile. So you'll see the missile plant upright itself, arm will come out, place a few blocks, missile will then either self-detonate or just stay there depending on how you configure it. It will then turn the query on, query will mine, hopefully you've set up teleportation back towards your base. If not, there's also another plan to make the missile repack the query back up and teleport itself back using Ender engines. So I'll be making a version of the engine that will use Ender pearls to teleport itself. There'll be like hit or misses with it because I'll intentionally design it to not work all the time. Just having a missile that can always teleport, it's not always fun, because I mean it'd be fun for you playing as player versus environment, but PvP I can see people abusing it very heavily. I'll add configs of course to adjust its behavior, as I always do, but it allows for a lot of cool things. One of the bigger things when I was planning about a year or so ago when I decided to do this rewrite, I wanted to do pump missiles, so you can fire a pump into somebody's base. It would teleport through their bunker wall, drop on top of the reactor, suck all the reactor fluid out, whatever they were using, and then teleport away, and then the reactor would overheat and explode. This goes with a lot of other missiles, but yeah, I mean, that's unintended feature. It actually works. Of course, this is also supposed to on right click actually pick up too, which is working now. I fixed that. I'm surprised. So on right click will also work. And the cake is placing, which, I mean, that code's working pretty nice. That wasn't supposed to happen. That's another unintended side effect. Although it's good to see that the missile breaking code's working now. I'm going to be working on this a lot more as I go. The plan is to have the missile explode into pieces. You can ignore the stone in my inventory. That's just so not everything goes to my hotbar automatically. But the plan is to have this guidance chip eventually drop as damaged, and you can reverse engineer it if you've seen the feeds on GitHub. And cool, the warhead actually went off. So there's actually probably a ghost cake sitting here somewhere that's not rendering. Because if it ever drops an empty warhead, that means the warhead actually detonated. Just some reason it broke. But that's it for the moment. I'll probably make some more videos here later. I haven't been doing a lot of progress actually on the mod. I just got back to it today after a couple days break. I've been playing 7 Days to Die, and I'm planning a brand new video game here. So my company, BuiltBroken Studios, is going to be getting into game development here. Given, by the way, the mods are actually controlled by the company BuiltBrokenModding. Not to get the two confused. They're subsidiaries. Well, they might be subsidiaries of each other. I haven't figured that one out. I've been reading tax law all day, and it's head hurts is the easy way to put it. I've yet to figure out how all this stuff works. All I know is that I'm going to put the game up on Steam and probably only make $1 or $2 per copy sold, and the game's going to be sold for 20 bucks. I may actually sell it for cheaper because, after all, the game I'm planning, if you've followed my Twitter, it's going to be an arcade-based tank game. I'm going to be modeling a lot of the graphics after the Tron movies because I really like that visual, although I'm going to avoid copying their stuff because of course I can't violate their copyrights. But I like that visual art style that they've got going there with the really high bright colors mixed with really dark low colors. And it looks cool. So I'm gonna make an entire tank game with that art style. But the actual gameplay is you're gonna be in a 3D world, driving a tank from probably over the shoulder view, so third person, and you'll be going through levels and just blowing stuff up. There's not gonna be a lot of backstory. The name of the games right now is gonna be the 100th tank. So you're not even the hero in the story. You're just a random tank. You'll be going through the levels. You'll have power-ups. You'll be getting scores. It's going to be simple. I'm planning on building it and releasing it here in 40 days. I don't know if I'm going to keep that time schedule, of course, because I'm heavily relying on several people to get me assets on time. If I don't get everything on time, the time frame is going to probably go up. But this is the same thing that happens to modding. Most of the time I'm waiting in modding for assets. Like for example, if you may have just noticed these down here, our texturer Morton has created 2 new textures for the gunpowder and magic charge. If you've seen the previous ones, you knew they looked bad. These ones look really nice. I fixed the localization already for these, but you can't reload localization in the dev environment. I have to restart the entire game, which I'm not going to do. But they look nice now. Really good addition here. He's going through and he's going to redo all of these. So he's already made several attempts at the exothermic and endothermic right now, but they didn't look just right, so I told him to redo them. A couple of my other artists have already redid the fragment charges. I just haven't implemented them yet, because I have to go through and do this entire system because these are completely uncraftable. There's no way to craft these. Because they'll just show you the arrow bundle, because these are MBT coded items. MBT being the way Minecraft stores all the data outside of block and meta. So these are encoded with the fragment type they are. In this case, this is an arrow fragmentation explosive. Most of you are probably familiar with these. These are the basic exploding rockets. So arrows go everywhere. Which I've actually fixed this, by the way. These were actually acting pretty pathetic, only firing 4 or 5 arrows. They do, I think, about 30. But the arrows are based on the warhead size. Right now, this has got a warhead size of 15, so it's going to fire, I think, 30 arrows. I don't remember exactly the code because I coded that explosive probably like 6 months ago. The scaling actually does work, so this goes up to 33.5, and the large one goes up to 67.0. I need to get rid of that 0.0 down the road, but I'll deal with that later. That's superficial, ignorable. But the radius stuff works. I don't know if I released a video talking about it earlier, but I fixed the math on this, or rather, I fixed the caching. There was a cache stored in each explosive, storing their radius per stack size. Because, of course, this is a variable stack size in here. So this thing has, like, I think 22 explosives in it. So 22 explosives equals a 67-meter radius. Now, some of you may be asking, why is it not just that original 15 times 22? The equation I use is designed to increase the volume of the explosion and not the radius. Right now, this yield is radius-based. So you can think of it like a balloon. The more air you put in the balloon, the bigger the balloon gets. But every breath you put in the balloon does not increase the radius for a given size. As you notice, the first breath you put in there, you get a big increase. The next breath, it's a big increase. But as you go, the increase in the radius gets smaller and smaller and smaller. All the explosives are coded identically. Now, of course, I may come back through and recode some of these explosives. Like the cake missile is going to end up being set so that the yield is replaced with like 1 cake value or 5 cake value. It'll change its name. The arrow explosive I probably will do the same for. I'll say, instead of saying yield of radius, I will say 100 arrows or something, 100 fragments. Of course, these fragmentation explosives are going to end up being dual explosives. So you'll have a fragmentation effect on them, and then you'll have a TNT blast effect as well. So on impact, it may break blocks and generate fragments. Which, going on the break block thing as well, I'm going to be recoding the TNT explosive here later. So when it blows up, it will automatically generate fragments based on the block it hits. So when you hit like a wood structure, you get wood fragments. And those fragments may or may not be on fire depending on how I code it. So these explosives, which were previously not very strong, people are like saying, wow, the TNT doesn't feel very powerful for what it is. Well, that's intentional. There's going to be additional side effects. For example, people always complain about the antimatter, which I'll show real quick, and I probably showed in previous videos, of course, but they go like, For a nether star, that's not a big explosion. Well, the trick with the antimatter explosion is it destroys everything. It doesn't create a blast wave, it disintegrates everything. So if I keep shooting down, which I just dropped my rocket launcher because I'm being a klutz today, but if I just keep shooting down, which this is pretty fast by the way, I'm working on the dynamic code here as well, so that this is getting faster and faster. Because even though the code's multi-threaded, the multi-threaded code runs instantly, but I can't update the world instantly because that was where all the lag came from in the original place. Older ICBM versions, they did their calculations pretty quick as well, but we attempted to modify the world too quickly. Now see, we're down to bedrock level. I can now punch a hole in bedrock. Now this is configurable, of course. You can tell it, hey, I don't want to break unbreakable things. Because, of course, breaking bedrock is bad in most cases, and I agree with it. The config's there. You guys can change it at your own discretion. I advise server owners to actually turn it off because you will get players abusing the crap out of these. This left on is mainly for PvE and for blowing up things like warded stone. Because even though I believe some people have told me that the Thaumcraft warded stone should be left alone by explosives, I'm under the belief that if you hit a magical device with enough energy, you will overload the magical device and destroy it. Because after all, magic is just another form of technology, if you've ever heard those famous quotes. So there's no reason why you can't overpower a piece of technology or magic. Plus, magic is energy-based anyways, so the thought process can be put forward that when you pump it full of energy, in reality what you've done is you've just destroyed the energy-based effect. Also, I still have to fix the bug where entities aren't dying, but all the blasts handle the entity damage effects separately from the block breaking effect, and some of them are not finished. But that's all for now. I'll make another video here later, and hope you guys enjoy the stuff. You can get to the downloads down in the comments, Twitter links, everything. Subscribe for more videos here. I'll be making a video at least every 3 days. I've been trying to shoot for daily, but it doesn't work. And also, I've got a new microphone too. I'm not currently using it, but I'm going to start using it here once I figured out how to filter background noise. And that should dramatically improve quality because it does not have the static and humming you're hearing in my headset right now. But other than that, see you guys all later and have fun.